Okay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Carly McCracken. I'm the Reader Services and Literacy Librarian at the West Wyandotte branch of the Kansas City, Kansas Public Library System. Joining me this evening for a wonderful presentation over managing stress and pursuing wellness is Dr. Chiquita Miller from the K-State Research and Extension Office located in Wyandotte County. Without further ado, Dr. Miller, I'll pass it off to you.
Thank you so much, Carly, for that wonderful introduction. Good evening, everyone. So tonight, I know when you start thinking about stress and what it looks like, it's probably not that jazzy topic, but I think it's something that we all can live, understand, and want more information of just because of the times. Struggling with the pandemic. Carl and I were just sharing about the weather and how our family and friends are out in other parts of the country that are not accustomed to dealing with these cold temperatures and everything. So you can imagine the level of stress that families are under. So the title of this is really just looking within and trying to manage stress, pursuing wellness in times of tight margins. Because right now, with all of us dealing with the pandemic, some of us have had financial setbacks, we've had job loss, we've had a lot of different things going on. We've had kiddos coming back from college that was planning on being at college and at home and everything. So we're really happy to be able to offer this topic to you all tonight because we think it can be very beneficial as we go through. So it's going to be a regular format, and like I said, I'll have some questions that you can kind of ponder over as you view this, and you always have opportunities to kind of share your thoughts about those as well. So with that said, we're just going to go right in. I will say this topic is kind of a hybrid model. It was really designed for reducing farmer stress, and originally came out of North Dakota State University Extension Service, and so K-State just adopted it. It was really well in quality. If you're not familiar with K-State, with the extension and how it works, we basically have extension um, in all 50 states, and they're usually attached to the land grant college in that state. Sometimes the historically Black institutions in those states, and also some of the American Indian institutions can be considered those. And so they provide a lot of valuable information. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I just kind of use pieces of this to kind of make it work for our topic tonight. So I think you'll find it quite beneficial. We'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so as always, we always want to kind of just kind of understand and just kind of do an overview of what we're going to get out of the subject matter. So increase awareness of stress issues and warning signs of stress challenges, explore key stress issues, communicate about steps in managing stress, identify and apply useful coping methods for responding to stress and improving wellness, and then identify and access available resources and sources of support. And I think that's going to be critical as we maneuver and kind of figure out what works for our individual selves, individuals and family. I always want to start out with just just some mindfulness and everything. And I think that a lot of people may think, oh, I don't like mindfulness, I don't like meditation, I don't like yoga and things of that nature. But I found these that I thought would be very helpful. So these are just four little quick things that you can do, starting with most of all of us will eat it sometime in the day. And it's just being mindful during that first three bites of your meal. Focus on the smell, the texture, and the taste, and savor for that moment and everything. Just taking just a time out to really enjoy that meal. So believe it or not, that is a form of mindfulness. Just taking that time out to enjoy that. Just breathe. Simply sit and breathe in a quiet room for 10 minutes. Focus on your subtle movements of your body at rest, and how's your body moving, and how does it feel. I think a lot of us, we don't give ourselves that opportunity just to calm down and reduce that chatter. And I don't know about you all, but I know one thing over the past few months, I just wanted that chatter to go away, whether that chatter was from the radio, or on the internet, or just through social media, people calling, or just doing those things like that too. So that really helps me, and it's only 10 minutes. And what I will say, if 10 minutes seems too long for you, start out with 1 minute and you'll see yourself build up. The next one is stop to observe. So take a moment each day to stop what you're doing and watch your surroundings, free of judgment. Just simply observe. So if you're looking out your window, just look out. Don't worry. I mean, so if you see a bird in the trees, if you see the snow melting or whatever, just observe that. Not, you don't have to add any dialogue. Oh, it really looks cold out there, or you know, this and that, or whatever. Or I have to go shovel snow or whatever when the snow is on the ground, just free of judgment. And the fourth one is just visualize your thoughts. So empty your mind by envisioning your thoughts as objects, and through breathing and focus on each one for just a few seconds before pushing the thoughts further and further away and everything. So just having a little bit of control where you can just kind of visualize whatever's happening in your thought process. So those are just four little things that you can do that you can include in your daily activities that I think will be fine. So you can just kind of in that moment of just being calm. And at the end, I'll have another one for you too to kind of, but I wanted us to start out with, just being relaxed and being focused as we have this topic. So what is stress? Okay, that's a magic question, right? For some definition, it's a state of physical, mental, emotional strain or tension resulting from a difficult, demanding circumstances. So what does that really mean, right? And so what I tell people is like you think about that moment when you are the most calm, you are the most relaxed. You don't have a worry. You're not worried about bills. You're not worried about kids not being in school. You're just free in that moment. If you can think back when you have that, when you're not tired, you're not overworked, you're not stressed out. So your body will always try to fight to feel that relaxed way. And we'll talk about tons of things, the ways to manage stress and what that looks like and things that can cause us stress. But to understand what it really is just that physical, mental, emotional difference strain that will take away and alter how you feel. And so, as you think about things and questions, I would like you to ask yourself, well, how do you know you are feeling stressed? One of the things I found for myself is, especially I think if you've had an injury of type of some sort, it really lets you know. So I had to have neck surgery. Oh gosh, it's been quite a few years ago. And so now when I'm like if I'm sitting too long in one area, if I have my neck in a certain direction for too long or whatever, it starts to ache. So my body is like letting me know. So stress is like that. It's going to let your body know. If you just listen and do not ignore, it's going to let your body know what's going on. So you need to know, just know that it's something different. The second one is, it's just looking at what does that look like physically, mentally, emotionally, and then some of the social signs. Physically, you may have a headache. Your back may hurt. Um, you mentally, you may find yourself sleeping a lot, or you're being overly fatigued. Emotionally, you're normally a happy-go-lucky person, and then you find yourself like really stressed and short and curt with people, and just not there yourself. And then some of the social signs, it's just like you find yourself like, oh, normally you're the life of the party, or you like being around family and friends. Even during COVID, you will be trying to find that opportunity to be around that. And then you find yourself like, oh my goodness, you have a little bit of anxiety about meeting friends and going places like that. So some of that is like your social signs. So those are some things that you can think about as we go on into this subject and dive in a little deeper. Another thing I want you to think about is just your stress zone. You think about, it's like, we talk about 0 to 10 in most things and everything. So, and everybody's used to the little emojis and the little faces and everything. So where are you? When you're in low stress zone, you're probably somewhere between that 1 to 3, 1 to 4. And then you're somewhere in the middle. You're kind of quite not, you may not know what's going on. You just feel a little out of it, and as we get higher, just that out of control feeling, or maybe a little bit of anger, disappointment, frustration can kind of, creep in. So we want to always kind of monitor ourselves, and family and friends can also help us with this because they know us best. And so they can act as that, that monitor and say, hey, what's going on? I see you feeling this way. I didn't see you eat lunch, or, are you feeling okay? Do you need help with something or whatever? So that's where family can come in and really be a strong advocate and give us hope as we look forward. So always think about, where am I in the stress zone? The next things, family pressures, things happen all the time. And so as we think about our own family pressures and everything, I have a few listed here, and you may have others that you want to add to the table. But childcare, the cost of it, trying to get to childcare, uh, some childcares might have been closed down, transportation. When this weather was really bad a few days ago and over the last week or so, it's really hard to travel around, even if you had transportation, let alone trying to get an Uber or trying to get a Lyft or get on a bus or doing those things as well. If you lost power, could you communicate? How long did you have your abilities to have the internet, or if you were using Wi-Fi for your phone, how could you communicate with families and others? And we will not even mention. I think we've endured enough of the weather and everything. So those cold temperatures, and they add another dimension, especially where the power is out or not, and then you have to deal with all the other things that go along with that. How you're going to get out, how you're going to keep the house warm, and keeping your family safe, and not to mention outside obligations that could be work related, or they could be, if you're part of groups where you have to go out there and be a part of that as well. Food, money is tight. So are you going to have enough food, or are you in a position or a part of the country where you couldn't get out to get food or whatever, or you couldn't have food delivered to you? And if you did get food delivered to you, were you going to be able to keep it refrigerated because you didn't have power? Clothing, having appropriate clothing for the weather, for the different conditions, for work and other things that we may have, jobs and everything like that too. One thing to have a job, is the job paying our bills? Is the job close enough to home when the weather is bad that I can walk to it? All of those things are big factors. Not to mention deadlines. Things happen all the time. We're always on a schedule. Something has to be due. So are we working on those things? Do we have a strategy to get things completed? Family and relationships, when we're dealing with different things, especially like the pandemic and weather and all sorts of things, that can be very stressful on a family and the dynamics. And so we really want to make sure that we treasure those and honor that, and make sure that we're keeping up with all these other factors and reducing as many family pressures as we can. Finances is major. It always ends up in the top 10 in relationships and with families. It's just how we communicate, how we handle our finances, and how we parent our children. So those are three things that will always come in the top 10, no matter what's going on in a family unit. And then housing itself. It's one thing to be housed out of the cold or the heat, but is that house adequate to keep you cool, to keep you warm, even if you did lose power? Do you have all those things you need? Is your housing in a good, safe neighborhood where you feel like you can thrive and keep your family safe? So these are all legitimate pressures that you may experience. And so I would also want you to think about other things that may be causing pressure in your family. Stress in the individual and family wellness and everything. So there's a lot of stress that's coming from all different angles or whatever, societal pressures, family financial stresses, and um, personal stresses such as physical, emotional, relational stresses, or conflict and the impact on children in the community, etc. So we look at all of this stuff and how it impacts the individual as well as the family. All of these things are critical. Listening to things that are going on in society, whether they're in your neighborhood, in your backyard, you still feel for those families that may be subjected to some of that, some of the things that are not positive that may be happening, because we all can identify with that, because it could happen in our family and everything. Who we can't talk enough about being financially secure so that we can take care of our families as well, and then just being aware of what those physical and emotional stresses can be. And then relationship, you're trying to make things work and have the family and everything else too, but it's very hard and difficult at times. So having all those things together is going to make a strong impact. And then making sure our children are safe and schools are around, and we have all those things that we need to be successful as a community. They all impact us. So one of the key sources of stress is a financial situation. So again, what is that? What is your income? You always want to, when you start thinking about income and stuff, you talk about being in the red and being in the black. And so in the black means that you have all your finances taken care of. You have money set aside in that emergency fund. You have money set aside in savings. You may have goals and other desires. You have investments, you have retirement, you have all that taken care of. And when you pay your bills every month, you have money left over to do some of those fun things that you like to do as an individual and a family. You always want to look at your debt to access ratio. And as you meeting debt payments and thinking about that too, your assets are those things that you can barter against. So if you own a house, if you own a car, and everything like that. So if you're in debt, if worse come to worse, you may be able to to sell that car, or if you have another car, or sell some items or whatever. So you always want to kind of know where you are in that. So if you are in a stressful situation, that is not a time to start thinking, where am I going to get this additional income from? Cash flow in the household budget or whatever. Making sure that you're taking care of the rent, the mortgage, and the food bill and the electricity. Nothing is more stressful when you're trying to make ends meet and something has to suffer. And when you start looking at medical or paying the utilities, and then you start getting behind, and then you have to start thinking, well, if I lose power, how's that going to impact my family? In arranging financing. So if you're in a situation, do you have a good relationship with the bank? Do you have a good credit score? So if you are in a situation that you can go out there and secure some financing, even if it's just temporarily. And then complicated or strained decision making, tendency to make worse decisions under stress. Some of us do that. We cannot, when we're overwhelmed, it's really hard for us to come in there and say, yeah, I'm going to go try to get that loan, when you have all these other things going on. That's not going to be helpful or beneficial for us. So making sure that we're in a proper mindset so we can make those decisions is going to be critical as we do. Some of again, the key sources are family, financial situation, ability to meet family living expensive, long hours, 2 and 3 jobs, and trying to balance that work and family relationship is very difficult. I wish that all families could be together and have that, 8 to 4, 9 to 5, job where everybody could be home in the evenings and we can have those family meals together and everything. But the reality is a lot of our families are working odd shifts, and we rarely have that time to share together as a family, and that takes away from really finding that work-life balance, especially if you have to work more than one job. A sense of inadequacy due to economic difficulties. You get a sense of, I can't provide for my family. What does that look like? What does that mean to me? How are people going to look at me? How are people going to judge me? And facing the challenge of having to leave a job and deal with one income or less. If something happens, like with the pandemic, when some of the jobs were deemed essential services. So if you were used to 2 incomes or even 3 incomes, and then you had to go down to one. So just being prepared for those possible financial situations. We can't prepare for everything, but the most we're prepared for, that's going to benefit us in the long run. Some of the warning signs of stress. Stress signs are warning signals to slow down and focus on your wellness. And it's letting you know that, hey, trouble is ahead. It's like flashing light that's saying, whoa, slow down. Let me see what's going on. That way you'll be able to calm yourself in that moment to be able to see through some of these other ones that other stressors that we're going to talk about, and how well you manage those things. We'll see. So now for the most important part of the evening, stress signals as we look through this. So physical and emotional and mental. So some of the physical signs of stress are, again, is the head aching, back, neck, muscle tense aching, stomach upset or distressed, breathing is short or labored, low energy, body fatigue, tiredness, and just aggravated health issues and everything. like many of us that has a second vaccine, some of us might have felt some of these or all of these as we went through and everything. But I am one of the ones that took the vaccine, and I'm happy that I did. And I think it's just an individual case that we have to decide for ourselves and our families. But when you look at these physical signs and stress, yeah, these were some of the things that people were sharing about, some of the side effects from the taking the second shot. But you have to kind of look at it for the greater good, and which one's gonna, if you're gonna be safe in keeping your home and community safe, or are equally as important for those things. Some emotional signs of stress, just irritable about little things. So anything just sets you off. You're normally pretty calm and low key, and all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, what just happened? Someone just came out of nowhere. And then, it's just a sense of frustration and anger. Anger just comes out of nowhere. And you're like, what? Wait a minute, was that me? If I have an alter ego, what just happened there? And just impatient and restless. You're not sleeping well, you got a lot going on and everything like that. And when you are sleeping, your quality of sleep is not there, and you're in the time that you're sleeping is not there. They still suggest anywhere from 8 to 9 hours. Depends on, you look at the research to see what's appropriate sleep or not. So that kind of gives you a baseline there and everything. So again, impatient and restless, feeling discouraged and hopelessness. That can happen, being hopeless and withdrawn from others. And hello, with COVID, we have been withdrawn from others, and some of us have been isolated, and some of us have experienced and are experiencing a little bit of anxiety and that panic feeling when you get stir crazy and you've been in or whatever. And then so when it was extremely cold and people weren't getting out, so we were kind of forced to be inside, and you didn't really want to go outside because it was so cold. And you can kind of get that little feeling of just being, isolating, closed in. And luckily we did have some days where there was sunlight, so you could have at least gone out or open the curtains and look outside and saw that the sun was shining. And difficulty concentrating, just trying to focus on things. But when your mind is racing and you have so many things going on, it is very hard to concentrate and focus on what's going in there, what's happening. So think about if you were working on a school project or a work project and you're stressed out, you got all this stuff going on, how are you going to focus enough to be able to get that project completed? So it makes a big difference as you go through and kind of figure out what that looks like as well. So we have to really, like you said, be patient and understand what that looks like as we go through and navigate things. Okay, some of the behavioral and relationship parts of this. So behavioral signs of stress, again, difficulty with sleep and inability to relax and concentrate. Again, getting angry easily, trouble making decisions, increased use of alcohol or other drugs, difficult being flexible. You're normally open, and now you're like, nope, I'm not open, and it's my way, and or nowhere, nobody's gonna get their way but me. So just having difficulty being flexible, and then overeating or loss of appetite as well. And so some people can lose, like again, overeating or your loss of appetite can happen. So those are some of the behavioral signs. Those are things that you are responding to. You're sharing. People are actually seeing these. Some things can be internal. You're dealing with, things within yourself like the headache or some of those other things that you can kind of internalize. But these are behaviors that people are seeing outside. So you're exhibiting some of these behaviors, or you may not be. So everybody's different. So don't get so caught up in, oh, I've never experienced any of these, so that doesn't apply to me. But your body will respond to discomfort and stress in its own way. Some relationship signs of stress. Communication difficulty. You normally are more willing to listen, and then you're not, all of a sudden you're not ready to listen, or you can't listen because you can't focus, or that person is just irritating you in that moment. Conflict with family members and others, just constantly something's going on. Nothing is like it should be. Lack of satisfaction. Nothing's good. Nothing's right. Nothing's working. verbal or physical outbursts of abuse and everything like that too. So you may lash out at someone and say something that you don't want to say in that moment when we're stressed out. What I will say, if this does happen to you, when you're calm and when things are better, go back and apologize and try to apologize as soon as possible in that moment. Because most of the time, when we do something out of character, we realize that, we internalize that, and we can be the bigger person and say, this is something that's not me. I didn't appreciate what I did to someone else. So it's okay to go apologize in that moment. Or shortly after that, when you realize that, hey, I could have hurt that person's feelings. Strain in interactions, we have a tendency to avoid others, and lack of time with spouse, children, and others. When we're overworked and we got things going on, we may purposely not want to spend time at home. We may spend extra times at work, longer hours at work, maybe because we're trying to make more money, or whatever. So it takes away. So again, we have to be careful when we're trying to run away from the people that matter and mean the most to us. Managing stress model. So as we think about this, it's a process and how we want you to understand and assist in getting better. So again, name your stressor. So if that is not enough income, so just for an example, just for this exercise, as we think about the stress model. And then we want to identify and access resources. So if I don't, if my stressor is not enough money to pay the bills, so I need to go through and look and see, can I add more hours to my current job? Do I need to get another job? Can someone else in the family get another job, or those kind of things? So I'm looking at all my resources. Can I, if possible, if I wouldn't want to use a loan, but is that an option? We're just looking for we're just identifying resources and if we can access them. So is getting a loan can help you pay some bills off and do those things like that. That's something individually that your family needs to see and understand what that looks like. Pursue good quality decisions. So that may mean as you're looking at resources, you're talking to family, maybe for a short-term loan, or you can barter with somebody. Okay, well, I'll remove your snow. If you pay this, to a neighbor or something like that, or I'll babysit your kids on the weekends when you want to go out, and those kind of things like that too. Or you have a family member that that may need a little help, or you can help. You can find other things that you can do. Maybe some small things around the house that doesn't require a professional to do, and those things. And then connect with sources of support, people, resources that can actually help you get through. There's a lot of no's and doors closing or whatever. So we really want to find and navigate what's going to really work and who's going to help us. Who actually, if I qualify, who actually has money to help me in that moment. And then use an effective coping strategy. So that's going to be critical as we go through those. Or we're using positive means to get through this situation, make it better for ourselves and everything. So this is the stress model. Again, you're naming your stressor, identify access and resources, pursue good, solid, quality decision making, connect with the resources and supports that can help you, and then use an effective coping strategy. Because we may get some no's. It may not happen right away. We may have to go a few days without something, but finding those correct ways of coping is going to ultimately make that a little bit better to handle. Again, step one, managing stress. Access, needs, and impacts. So stressor impacts how big is the splash in your life due to the stressor. What needs to come up? More income, sleep, etc. How manageable is the impact? Not at all to vary. So it's where is it at and everything. What do we need to do? So that's step one. That impact. How big is the splash in your life due to a stressor? Step two, again, we're managing stresses and identify access resources. So we're going to evaluate the resources, what resources will help you, take stock of the resources available, type of resources, material or personal, recognize and use resources effectively. Because like I said, if we get a loan, if we get someone to help us with utilities and things of that nature, are we going to be able to to um, to manage for the next month or how long? So we really want to make sure we're doing those things as well. So that's step two. Three, pursue good quality decisions. Look in those pros and cons, mapping those out, how decisions and how to respond. Gather information, access options, discuss key decisions with others, clarify the goals that we need, and to be open to change, because that change may be something that you're not accustomed to, that you've never had to do before. A lot of people have been without jobs. A lot of people were in financial situations that they probably never thought they were going to be in, but now we're on the other side of it, and we're still stronger for it. So being open to that change is very critical. Step four, connect with sources of support. Who can who can who can we connect with? The access supports informal family and friends, formal may be faith professionals and others, and willing to approach others for support. So that is something that is very critical, and that I feel that can be, something that can be helpful. Again, with the understanding that someone may say one door may say no, and everything. So when you find yourself in a situation where someone that cannot help you, ask them, do you know any other resources? Can you give me some feedback or some assistance in some ways that I can do those things? Because I don't want you to get discouraged, because sometimes it's like if you get so many no's, it's like that stop sign, and you're constantly seeing that stop sign. And after seeing that stop sign numerous times, we're gonna get frustrated. We're gonna start feeling hopelessness, and we may want to quit. And that's what I do not want to see happen with you. So again, go to the professionals, go to the faith organization if that's something you choose to do. Talk to family and friends, and like I said, and approach others for support that you probably never had to do. But just understand this moment is temporary. One of the things that I learned early in life when I was a military soldier in the Army was that, this is temporary. The things that we were subjected to were ways to help us survive in combat. And we were pushed, whether that was a running exercise or we were digging foxholes or out in different elements or whatever. But what it taught me was that was a temporary moment. And I will tell you, I've been off active duty for, oh my gosh, almost, I mean, 20 some years, and there's nothing that has happened in my civilian life that has even come a quarter close to what I experienced in the military, and what it taught me, and how to survive and what to seek out. So let our challenges become our ally, and it teaches us a little bit about hope, a little bit about challenge, and how we can survive. And that is critical as we go through, and as we looking for support, and then maybe too proud to receive that help in that moment. And one thing that I gathered from that too is that true brotherhood and sisterhood, and everything. And you have to understand there are agencies, professionals out here, and that is what their job is to support you in this time of need. And don't feel bad about it. If you want to donate when things change for you, if you want to donate to that organization, you can do that. So you can always give back. But in this moment, it's temporary, and that's when you need the most help. So do not be afraid to go out there and connect with the sources of support that can help you in this moment to take you and your family to the next level. Step five, use an effective coping strategies. And this is going to be critical. So, what is in your toolbox and everything like that, too? So, tools are designed to do different jobs, and so finding the right coping strategy, that tool to fit that situation, to change strategies. If one if the one you are using isn't working, you go somewhere else. So so do we need to make sure we have appropriate coping skills, and are we do we need to learn more? Do we need more education? Are we eating right? So do we need to go to therapy to kind of help us seek some of those things as well. And maybe some form of respite care if we're taking care of elderly parents or some children that may need a little help. Again, balancing that family. Creating a new hobby. Exercise is critical, even if it's 20 minutes for 3 to 5 times a week. That exercise. Now, today was a perfect example. The weather was nice. I think someone said it was near 60 degrees. So this would have been a wonderful time to get the family out and just to go for that nice walk. And recognizing those positive supports. And if you remember, nothing I say tonight is just respecting yourself and know that you can be triumphant no matter what happens, because you're going to have the appropriate coping strategies, and you're going to have the right tools in your toolbox, and you're going to be able to access services when you need them as well. But respecting yourself, especially in difficult times, is going to be very important, as we just navigate this thing called life. Coping methods and everything like that too. So when you think about, how many can you think of methods? I will tell you that the mindfulness exercises have been very helpful for me. The exercising, especially if you have a pet, the pet has to go out multiple times a day. So just take advantage of that and embrace that. Yes, even in the cold, bring in that pet out there. And if you do have a dog or an animal that you have to walk outside and those things, and just embracing that. Yoga, that's another thing that you can do. Looking at other exercises that you can do on your social media devices and things of that nature. I think everybody has an exercise thing at some point. So just finding some of those things. Meditation, again, is always something that you can do on your own. Seeking, I guess, professional help, joining a group. Those are just some of the things that are just coming off the top of my head. But what will work for you is going to be the most that's going to be most beneficial for you and your family at that time. So you do that deep dive and figure out what are some of the things that we like to do. We like to walk as a family. We like to cook as a family. We like to, to meditate as a family. We like to do religious things together as a family. Whatever that is to help you cope. So coping methods for stress in negative or less effective ways. So these are some of the things that people have done that have been less than positive. So binge eating, drinking alcohol in excess, spending money that we don't have, gossiping, avoiding withdrawing from people as well, and then anything else that you can think of that could be negative. It could be drinking alcohol, it could be using drugs, you could be abusing prescription medications that you may have because you just want to escape and not deal with what's happening right now. So that makes a big difference. Well, so these are some of the negative and less effective methods that you can use. Now let's go around and turn around to see what some of the positive things are. So some of the positive or more effective is exercise that we just talked about, going for a drive when the roads are nice and clear, playing in the garden. So I think a lot of people now are starting to get out and want to kind of start thinking about what that garden's going to look like, start thinking about what they can grow. So they're already maybe collecting their seeds and those kind of things like that, trying to get those quite in potting soil and different things for that nature. Call a friend, text a friend, or FaceTime a friend, Zoom a friend, group me a friend. There's so many ways to do that. Also, watching a movie and everything. And then just having that great family conversation where we can actually talk and listen to each other and support each other's needs and wants at that time. And I think this one is definitely underrated quite a bit, is a stretch in that moment, especially if you're working from home on the computer quite a bit, make sure that every hour and hour that you are, even if you're at home, that you just get away from that desk, stretch out a little bit, walk around the house or whatever. If the weather's nice, walk outside and everything like that, and just do that nice little stretch because that's going to rewire your brain to say, you know what, I'm okay now. I can go back and I can do something differently. And if every once an hour is too much, just kind of maybe you can do it once every couple of hours or whatever. But just just freeing your brain so that you can go out and do something else. So that way you don't get that stiff neck or that back or start having some of those other pains that will come from sitting for a long period of time. Coping priority one, rest and renew yourself. So when we think about coping, I want to dive in a little bit more and share. So when we think about relax and refresh and renew, it's like it says you can't care for your family well if you don't care for yourself. Explore resources and personal renewal that you value, whether that's faith, nature, um, um, hobbies or etc. Whatever that is, just making sure that those things will work well. Build in rest breaks daily, weekly. Thrive with five, and connect with others who give you strength and support. We want to be in that and um, positive environment as much as we can be. We understand that we're all human, so things can happen. Coping priority two, healthy communications. Be willing to share your stresses and concerns with others, especially, well, like I said, I will caution you though, because if everybody else is having a hard time or whatever, and you can always ask for permission. How are you doing? Whatever. I really have some stuff to talk about. How are you feeling today? Are you willing and ready to receive me? Because that person may be overwhelmed as well. Talk and share with others who understand and who you can trust and everything like that. Because everybody may not be able to honor your confidentiality or your friendship in a way that you want. And I would hate for that relationship to be impeded. And we all know we got that person that likes to share a little bit too information. So we're only going to give them what we need to give them. And we're only going to share limited with them. And listen to one another and try avoid withdrawing and withdrawal or anger. Um, um, as your primary mode of communication. If you find yourself doing that, that's a time to step back, figure out what's going on, and find some other way to cope. Focus on relationships, reassure family members of love and commitment, work through conflicts that may occur. Just be, like I said, apologize if something happens that you're not happy with. Follow consistent family routines that give security, such as family meals together, breakfast, whether that's breakfast, lunch, or dinner. Try to have at least one of those together with each other. If you have family game night one night a week, or if you have family clean up the house, what are those things that try to stay consistent with that, even if you're working from home, and even if the kiddos are doing remote learning, try to keep it consistent in your house and take time away together as a couple or family. If you're in a situation, if you're working, especially working extra hours and everything, there again, we come up with that bartering with family members and neighbors and say, you watch my kids, I watch your kids, no money exchange or whatever, but you have quality time away with, and then you trust the people that your kids are with. So that way you're not stressing out about that. The most important part of reducing stress is a healthy family. And that's what you want. The family, one hurt, we all hurt. So keeping that in mind as we go through those things, keeping things as normal as possible is going to be very beneficial for you all. These are some 12, again, I was telling you about that farm stress that was created. So they basically came up with these 12 tools for your wellness toolbox in the times of farm stress and everything else too. But I really thought it was relative and relevant for us as we navigate this process as well as we talk about stress. Again, exercise 20 minutes or more daily, whether you're walking, swimming, riding a bike, etc. Physical activity enhances feeling good. Number two, get a medical checkup with a local healthcare provider. Stress can cause or add to physical challenges. Three, spend 10 minutes to plan your day and your priorities. A few minutes of planning, reducing stress, and helps you stay focused as well. Number four, take regular 5 to 10 minute breaks in your day to relax and recharge. Doing this multiple times a day renews your energy. Number five, write down three things that you are grateful for daily. Conscious gratitude calms your mood, your mindset, and opens you up to more and everything again. So that fits into that, as we go through the emotional and spiritual. Share concerns with a counselor or other professionals. A listening ear helps lift your burdens. Number seven, Take 15 minutes each day for uninterrupted conversation with a spouse or family member. A few minutes of planning reduces stress and helps you stay focused. Making sure we're on the same page. Who's going to pick up who has what that's going on? Who's going to go by the grocery store? Who's going to fix dinner tonight? Those kind of things are going to be very critical as we go through stress-filled times. Number 8, and this is like personal and recreational, get involved or stay connected with friends or a group of friends during this multiple times a day. Renew your energy as well. So even if it's just, if you have a Facebook group, you have a sorority or fraternity, you can have other groups that are out there. If your kids are involved in Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, those kind of things like that too. So getting involved and connected is going to be very critical as well. Number 9 talks about discuss the needs of the, and like I said, and so they're saying farm operation, but you just talk about the daily operations that's going on in your household. What needs to be fixed? Who needs to do what? Who needs to chip in? If mom is going to be working a little later and everything, and dad's going to be home with the kids, can you guys get dinner ready so when mom gets home, she doesn't have to worry about, trying to cook dinner and get everything set up and things like that too. And even if mom can't join you all and you guys could go ahead and have your dinner, mom comes in later, you guys have a nice plate already set aside for her and everything. You guys have already done the dishes and everything like that too. So that kind of keeps everybody on the same schedule. And then you can kind of make things work better for the family that way as well. Number 10, you want to seek constructive feedback on your daily operations and what do you need to improve and how others can share ideas to assist in new ways that's going on in the household. Maybe the schedule that you have right now for the family is not working. So changing that schedule, with the kids, they're taking showers at night or in the morning or both, or do they have their clothes ready to go to school? Do we have laundry baskets in everybody's room so everybody can keep their floors picked up? Those kind of things that is going to be very critical as we go through and kind of figure out those things. Hang in there, we're almost done. Number 11, it says create a family budget and seek to live within your means. This helps give you a sense of financial control. Again, looking at that budget, if you're in the red, that means that you've extended yourself. Your budget is not going to be met every month. You want that budget to be in the black. You want everything. You want to have enough money to pay your bills, put money in an emergency fund, to put towards your retirement, um, to put towards just daily some goals that you may have or just in a regular savings and those things as well, because I promise you something will happen. It will be an emergency and you will need to come up with something that you were not expecting at that time. And then number 12, and that's around that financial and being practical, and it says select 3 healthy habits you will try to practice daily and start today with those things. So whatever that is, if it's going to be meditation or going for a walk or making sure you're taking a deeper dive in your finances and going through those things as well. And then it says down here, you can, my wellness commitment, circle at least 3 wellness tools you can begin doing today and post this in your home office or vehicle as a reminder on things like that too. So it's 12 of them. So you can pick 3 of them that you feel that can be beneficial for you in the long run. So as you navigate things and see how things are, it's going to be really great for you as well. So these are some key resources that you can go through. I'll let that slide stay on a little bit more and stuff like that too. But even they're talking about farm stress or whatever, but I still think that it really has some really good information in it. So some of these things I received from this as well. Again, some other resources that are talking about different things. Live Your Life Wellness Campaign, Mental Health of America is really good. Prevention and resources. Again, some videos that come in there too, and mobile stress apps that you can include in your family too to make things work well. Again, key resources in mental emotional health. Again, 211 is usually a statewide number. I think in Wyandotte County, Unified Government also has a 311 number. So kind of look and see what that local number is, but they have a lot of helpful information and everything that so you can benefit for that and get some quick information. Refer to a local health care provider or mental health professional if someone you need help. Do not be afraid. This is not a time to just second guess yourself. If someone connect with a local professional a clergy, medical professional, law enforcement, school counselor, social worker to get that family member some help. And then also the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. I always want to make sure that is available for us all. 1-800-273-8255 is the number for that. And so that's a National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that is manned. And it's a very helpful source too, especially if you're not ready to talk to someone locally and or whatever. I think that could be a good way to kind of get some information for a family member or a friend. Again, some more resources there that's talking about all those things as well. And then, so I wanted to leave you with 7 things mindful people do differently. So this is how they approach. So number one, they approach everyday things with curiosity and savor them. So just being open and embracing what's going on in that moment. Number two, forgive their mistakes, big or small. We have to forgive ourselves. We have to respect ourselves. We have to understand that we're human. We make mistakes, and that we may say something that may not be correct to someone, but we can go back and apologize. We can fix it. It can be fixable. Number three, show gratitude for good moments and grace for bad ones. Everybody can have a bad day, and we're entitled to do that. And I would hope that if I was having a bad day, that somebody would come and share some grace with me or show me some grace and everything, because a bad day for you may be different from a bad day for me, and I may be at a different level in how I handle those things. And then 4, practice compassion and nurture connections again. So we want to nurture those relationships and find out who can help us before these things happen. So the mindful person is already got that person on speed dial that can help them, or kind of figure out what can be best to benefit them in that moment. Number 5, make peace with imperfection inside and out. And I think this is critical and everything like that too. I think I spent most of my life, because of my upbringing, and thought I had to be so perfect and have everything working. And then I realized that, you know what, that I'm not going to be able to do everything. And I just had to come with the grips with that and everything like that. So come into peace, and your imperfection may be someone else's perfection. So that's a judgment call. So don't stop being so hard on yourself. Number 6, embrace vulnerability by trusting others and themselves in everything too. So I think that this is probably the hardest thing that you can do, is being vulnerable and letting people see you in a different light and everything. Maybe somebody's never seen you cry, or anybody's ever seen you get upset or whatever. And, but it shows that we're human. It shows that we're human, and that we can trust ourselves, that when we're in that moment and we need that outlet, as long as we're doing it appropriately, it's okay for us to have that outlet. That if we have to cry, if we have to go in a room and grab a pillow and scream inside that pillow, in that moment or whatever, and to, but it's okay for us to have that vulnerable moment. And then 7, accept and appreciate that things come and go. Relationships come and go, unfortunately. We lose pets, we lose family members, we lose jobs. Friendships don't stay forever. Um, and so we have to understand that, and everything within reason. And again, that's why it's critical, is it gets help to help us with that grief and loss period, or to go out and if we need to get another job, to go out and find someone that can help us get that job. That can be very helpful for us as well. So these are 7 things that mindful people do differently. So I think if you can look at this and really think about it, I think this is something that you can infuse along with the other mindful meditations things that I shared at the beginning. And then with those 4 things, and then just kind of reprogram. And remember, we're rewiring our brains to reflect what we need in this moment of our most vulnerability, our most stress, the things that are going on or whatever. So we can infuse some of these things that's going to be beneficial for us in the long run. This has been great for you all. So my contact information is on here. If you have any questions, You can always go to the library and they can always contact me as well. But my email is up there. My phone number is on there, 299-9300. I'm at extension 106. My email address is chmiller@ksu.edu. So if you have any questions that you may have or just some comments that you would like to share, like I said, I definitely would like to hear from you, and I'm sure the library would love to hear from you and everything like this too. Um, and we're just happy tonight. Again, thank you to Carly for reaching out to me and inviting me to share this topic, because this is something that is very meaningful for me, and it's something that I'm glad that I could share with you all tonight. So thank you so much for listening and tuning in, and please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Again, my name is Chiquita Miller, and I work for the K-State Research and Extension Office here in Wyandotte County. So thank you so much for listening tonight.
Thank you so much, Dr. Miller, for joining us this evening. This video will be posted on our blog along with our YouTube channel and potentially our social media pages. So if you ever need to refresh on what 7 things mindful people do or any stress coping mechanisms, these will be available. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and I hope you have a great night.
Thank you so much, and good night again.